My ex should come on our honeymoon, my wife said, as he sat in my apartment wearing my sweatpants. I smiled. Okay, called the police, and checked one missing document. She still thought I was trapped. Until, I'm 30 years old, and I just learned that the person you think you know best might be the person you never knew at all. My name is Zayden. I'm a machinery technician. I fix industrial equipment for manufacturing plants. It's decent work, pays around $65,000 a year, and I'm good at it. The kind of job where you solve problems with your hands and your head, which has always suited me. I was supposed to be on my honeymoon right now. 5-star resort in Hawaii, ocean view suite, the whole package. Instead, I'm sitting in my apartment alone, and honestly, I've never felt more relieved in my life. Let me back up. I met Vesper about 18 months ago at a friend's barbecue. She was charming, funny, had this energy that made everyone around her feel interesting. We clicked fast, started dating within a week. She moved in with me after 6 months. Looking back, I missed a lot of red flags because I wanted to believe we had something real. But that's the thing about red flags. When you're wearing rose-colored glasses, they just look like flags. We got engaged last year. I proposed at a nice restaurant, nothing extravagant but meaningful. She said yes, posted about it on every social media platform she had, started planning the wedding immediately. The wedding itself was expensive, really expensive. I'm talking $30,000 for venue, catering, photographer, the works. Vesper wanted a big celebration, said it was important to start our marriage right. I paid for most of it because she was between jobs, and her parents claimed they couldn't contribute much. We had the ceremony last Saturday. Big church wedding, 150 guests, open bar, the whole traditional setup. It was beautiful, actually. I remember standing there thinking I was the luckiest guy alive. Here's the detail that matters. We had the ceremony, but we never filed the marriage license. We were supposed to do that on Monday after we got back from the honeymoon. Vesper said she wanted to wait until we returned so we could take a nice photo with the official document for social media. At the time, I thought it was sweet. She wanted to make it special. Spoiler alert, that wasn't why she wanted to wait. The morning after the wedding, I woke up early in my apartment. I own the lease, it's in my name only, a detail that becomes important later, to finish packing for our 6 a.m. flight to Hawaii. I walked out of the bedroom into the living room and stopped dead. There was a guy sitting on my couch, drinking coffee from my kitchen, wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt like he lived there. I recognized him immediately. Torrin Blake, Vesper's ex-boyfriend from college. The guy she'd told me she was completely over, hadn't seen in years, no lingering feelings whatsoever. Morning, he said, like this was completely normal. I stood there trying to process what I was seeing. What are you doing here? Oh, you're up. Vesper came out of the guest room, which I didn't even know she'd opened, wearing a robe. I was going to tell you before we left. Tell me what? Torrin's going through a rough time. His roommate kicked him out and he needs a place to stay for a bit. So you invited him to stay here? In our apartment? The morning we're supposed to leave for our honeymoon? It's not a big deal. It's a huge deal. We're supposed to be at the airport in 2 hours. She crossed her arms. That's actually what I wanted to talk to you about. I think Torrin should come with us. I must have heard her wrong. What? To Hawaii. He should come with us. He really needs this right now, Zayden. He's been through so much and he could use a vacation. You want your ex-boyfriend to come on our honeymoon. Don't be dramatic. It's just a week. The suite you booked is huge, right? There's plenty of room. I looked at Torrin. He was sipping his coffee, watching this conversation like it was a TV show. And if I say no? She shrugged. Then I'm not going. Simple as that. If you can't do this one thing for me, if you're going to be selfish about this, then I don't want to go anywhere with you. I stood there in my own living room, looking at this woman I'd just married. Except I hadn't, not legally. And something clicked into place. This wasn't a reasonable request. This wasn't even an unreasonable request. This was a test. Or a power play. Or something worse that I couldn't quite see yet. Okay, I said. She smiled. Really? Give me a minute. I need to make a call. I went into my bedroom and closed the door. Pulled out my phone and dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? I need to report a trespassing situation. There's someone in my apartment who refuses to leave. Is this person threatening you? Not physically, but they're refusing to leave my property and I want them removed. What's your address? I gave it to them. Also, my girlfriend, well, I guess ex-girlfriend now, she's also refusing to leave. She's not on the lease. I need both of them removed. We'll send officers right away. Stay in a safe location until they arrive. I hung up and sat on my bed for a minute, just breathing, making sure this was what I wanted to do. It was. I opened my laptop and pulled up the lease agreement. My name only. No Vesper. I'd asked her to sign on a few months ago, but she kept saying she needed to update some documentation first. Now I understood why. I also pulled up our wedding documents. The license we'd received but never filed. Still sitting in a folder on my desk, unsigned by the officiant, never submitted to the county clerk. Legally speaking, I wasn't married. About 10 minutes later, there was a knock at the door. I heard Vesper answer it. Police, we got a call about a trespassing situation. There must be some mistake. Is Zayden Locke here? I came out of the bedroom, 2 officers standing in my doorway. I'm Zayden. You called about trespassers? Yes, this man, I pointed at Torin, broke into my apartment without permission, and this woman is refusing to leave. Neither of them are on the lease. Is this your apartment? The officer asked Vesper. We just got married. This is my husband. Do you have documentation of that? A marriage certificate? We had the ceremony yesterday, but we haven't filed the license yet. So legally, you're not married. But we live together. The officer looked at me. Is she on the lease? No. I asked her to sign on, but she never did. Do you have the lease agreement? I handed it over. He looked at it, handed it back. Ma'am, this isn't your legal residence. If the leaseholder is asking you to leave, you need to leave. This is insane. Zayden, tell them this is a misunderstanding. I looked at her, really looked at her, at this woman who'd just tried to bring her ex-boyfriend on our honeymoon, who'd issued an ultimatum about it, who'd been living in my apartment for months without signing the lease. It's not a misunderstanding, I said. I want both of them out. You can't be serious. Ma'am, you need to gather your belongings and vacate the premises. If you refuse, we'll have to escort you out. Vesper stared at me like she'd never seen me before. You're really doing this? The morning after our wedding? We're not married, Vesper. We had a ceremony, but we never filed the paperwork. And the way you're acting right now, I'm really glad we didn't. Torin finally spoke up. Babe, maybe we should just go. Shut up, Torin. She turned back to me. This is because I asked if he could come with us. You're destroying our marriage over that? There is no marriage. And yeah, asking your ex to come on our honeymoon is a pretty big deal. But honestly, this is about you showing me exactly who you are. So thanks for that. Now get out of my apartment. The officers escorted them both out. Vesper was screaming the whole time, saying I'd regret this, that I was a monster, that she'd never sign the marriage license now. I threw her suitcase into the hallway after them, locked the door, and stood there in the sudden silence of my apartment. My phone started blowing up immediately. Texts from Vesper calling me every name in the book. Voicemails from her mom demanding to know what was wrong with me. Messages from mutual friends asking what happened. I ignored all of it. Instead, I opened my laptop and logged into this local travel forum I'd found when planning the honeymoon. Posted in their free stuff section. Last-minute offer. I have a prepaid honeymoon package to Hawaii. 5-star resort, ocean view suite, all meals included, spa credits, the works. Leaving today at 6 p.m. Completely free to whoever can make the flight. Reason. Bride canceled. Must be able to depart within 4 hours. DM for details. I hit post before I could second-guess myself. Responses came in fast. Mostly people saying this has to be fake or story time. But there was one message that stood out. Is this for real? I'm systems programmer who just finished a nightmare project and desperately need a vacation. Can actually make a 6 p.m. flight if you're serious. I checked the profile. Aria Rylor, 26, worked in IT. Her recent posts were all about debugging code and complaining about crunch time. She seemed legit. Completely serious, I typed back. Resort is in Maui, all expenses paid. Only catch is you have to listen to me complain about my failed wedding if you want. Deal. I'll listen to anything if it means a week in Hawaii. Where do I meet you? We arranged to meet at the airport. I sent her the confirmation details, told her to bring ID and a swimsuit because everything else could be bought there if needed. Then I started packing. Just my stuff now. No Vesper's elaborate wardrobe. No her 17 different pairs of shoes for a week-long trip. My phone rang. Vesper, I answered. What? You posted our honeymoon online? You're giving it away to some random stranger? How did you? Never mind. Yeah, I did. I paid for it, so it's mine to give away. That was supposed to be our trip. You told me you wouldn't go unless your ex-boyfriend came with us, so I'm taking that as you not wanting to go. I didn't mean it. I was just trying to help Torin. By bringing him on our honeymoon. Yeah, I heard you the first time. Listen, I've got a flight to catch. Don't call me again. I hung up and blocked her number. The thing about making a decision that big, that fast, is that you don't have time to doubt yourself. You just act, and then you deal with the consequences. I met Arya at the airport. She showed up with a small backpack and a laptop bag, looking exhausted but excited. You're actually real, she said when she saw me. Unfortunately, you? Barely. I've been running on coffee and spite for the last 3 weeks. This is the most impulsive thing I've ever done. Same. We checked in together. The ticket agent looked confused when I explained the name change situation, but I'd called ahead and worked it out with the airline. Vesper's ticket got voided, Arya's name got added. On the plane, she asked the obvious question. So what happened, if you don't mind me asking? I told her the whole story. The wedding, waking up to find Torin on my couch, Vesper's ultimatum, calling the cops. She listened without interrupting, which I appreciated. Damn, she said when I finished. That's brutal. Yeah, but also kind of impressive. Like most people would have just gone along with it or tried to argue. You just ended it. I don't know if it was impressive or just me finally hitting my limit. Maybe both. We landed in Maui around midnight. The resort was beautiful. Beachfront property, palm trees, that perfect Hawaii smell of ocean and flowers. The suite was huge. 2 bedrooms, living area, balcony overlooking the water. Arya immediately claimed the second bedroom. I'm going to pass out for like 12 hours, she said. But thank you for this. Seriously, you have no idea how much I needed to get away from everything. What were you working on? You mentioned a nightmare project. Security overhaul for a financial services company. 3 months of 16-hour days debugging legacy code while the client kept changing requirements. I literally finished yesterday at 4 a.m., went home, saw your post, and decided the universe was telling me something. Glad the universe worked out for at least one of us. She laughed. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we'll figure out what to do with a honeymoon built for 2 that's now a vacation for a guy and his random internet stranger. The next few days were strange. Not in a bad way, just different from anything I'd expected. Arya and I fell into an easy rhythm. We'd have breakfast at the hotel, spend mornings at the beach or pool, explore the island in the afternoons. She was easy to talk to, curious about everything, made observations about things I'd never noticed. One day we went to this tech museum, mostly for her, but I actually found it interesting. She got excited about some old computing equipment, started explaining the history of programming languages. Sorry, she said, catching herself. I'm nerding out. Don't apologize. It's cool seeing someone passionate about their work. What about you? What's interesting about fixing machines? The problem-solving part. Something breaks. You have to figure out why. Fix it with whatever tools you have. There's something satisfying about taking a broken system and making it work again. That's actually similar to debugging code. Same basic principle. Huh. Never thought of it that way. We spent that evening on the balcony talking about our jobs, our interests. Turns out we both liked building things. She did it with code, I did it with actual hardware. We both enjoyed strategy games. Both preferred action movies over romance. This is weird, she said at one point. What is? Being on a honeymoon with someone I just met and actually having a good time. I expected this to be super awkward. Same, but you're pretty easy to hang out with. You too. Your ex is an idiot, by the way. Appreciate that. On day 4, I got a message from an unknown number. Voice note attached. I almost deleted it, but something made me listen. It was Vesper's voice. But she wasn't talking to me. This was her talking to someone else. Sounded like Torin based on the male voice responding. "He's such an idiot," Vesper was saying. "Thinks this whole marriage thing is about love. Zayden's just the guy with money and a stable job. I marry him, get established, maybe get a green card if we play it right, then we divorce in a year or two and split everything. Then you and I can finally be together without worrying about money." Torin's voice. "You sure he'll go for it? What if he figures it out?" "He won't. He's too in love with me to see what's happening. And bringing you to Hawaii was actually perfect. If he went along with it, I'd know I could control him completely. If he didn't, well, we're not legally married yet anyway. So what happens now? I'll play the victim, make it seem like he's the crazy one. His family will pressure him to take me back. Then we file the license, wait a respectable amount of time, and I file for divorce. His apartment's in a good area. We can sell or rent it for profit." The recording cut off. I sat there on the balcony, phone in my hand, trying to process what I'd just heard. Aria came out. "You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." "Listen to this." I played her the recording. Her expression changed from curious to angry as she listened. Wow, that's actual fraud. She was planning to marry you just to scam you?" "Apparently." "Do you know who sent this?" I checked the message. Says it's from Marcus. He's a mutual friend, went to college with both of us. I guess he overheard them talking and recorded it. You need to save that. That's evidence. Evidence for what? I don't know. Legal action? This was a planned fraud. She had you spend $30,000 on a wedding for a marriage she never intended to honor. I thought about it. About Vesper's insistence that we wait to file the license. About how she never signed the lease. About Torin conveniently showing up the morning we were supposed to leave. It all made horrible sense now. "The worst part," I said, "is I actually loved her. Or who I thought she was. And the whole time, she was just seeing me as a mark. That says everything about her and nothing about you. Doesn't feel that way right now." "I know, but it's true. You're not stupid for loving someone. She's terrible for weaponizing that against you." We sat there for a while just watching the ocean. "You want to talk about it?" she asked. "Not really. I want to finish this vacation, go home, and figure out what to do with this recording." Fair enough. The rest of the trip was more subdued. I couldn't fully shake what I'd learned, but Aria did her best to keep things light. We went snorkeling, tried surfing lessons, ate too much good food. On our last day, she said something that stuck with me. "You know what's kind of beautiful about this whole situation?" "What?" "You turned something that was meant to be manipulative and horrible into something actually genuine. Yeah, she tried to use you, but you ended up here with someone who actually enjoys your company. Not because of what you can provide, but just because you're interesting to be around. You're pretty easy to be around too." "I know. I'm delightful." We flew home on the same flight, exchanged numbers and promised to stay in touch, though neither of us knew if we actually would. When I got back to my apartment, there were 17 messages from Vesper's mother and about 50 from Vesper on various platforms I hadn't blocked. I ignored them all and went to sleep in my own bed. The next morning, I got a call from my lawyer. I'd sent him the recording the day I received it. "This is solid evidence of intent to commit fraud," he said. "Combined with the fact that she never signed your lease and you have witnesses to the Torin situation, you've got a strong case if you want to pursue action." "What kind of action?" "Civil suit for fraud, misrepresentation, emotional distress. She induced you to spend $30,000 on a wedding for a marriage she never intended to complete. That's textbook fraud. Do it." 2 days later, Vesper and her parents showed up at my door. I didn't let them in, talked through the chain lock. "We need to discuss the wedding expenses," her father said. "You humiliated our daughter and we expect you to reimburse us for—" "Reimburse you? I paid for the wedding, all of it. The emotional damage you've caused." I pulled out my phone and turned on the speaker, played the recording. Vesper's voice filled the hallway. "Zayden's just the guy with money and a stable job. I marry him, get established, then we divorce and split everything." I watched her face go white. "Where did you get that?" "Doesn't matter. What matters is I have evidence that you plan to defraud me. So not only am I not paying you anything, I'm suing you for the cost of the wedding. All $30,000. You can't. I already did. My lawyer filed this morning. You'll be served in a few days. Her father looked at her. Vesper, what is he talking about? It's not what it sounds like. It's exactly what it sounds like, I said. She was planning to marry me for financial gain, never file the paperwork properly, and divorce me to take half my assets. The whole thing was a scam. At that moment, Aria came up the stairs. She'd texted earlier saying she was in the area and wanted to return the spare key I'd given her for the Hawaii suite. Oh, sorry, am I interrupting? She asked. Vesper looked at her, then at me, then back at her. Who is this? Aria. I went on the honeymoon with Zayden. You what? The honeymoon. That you said you wouldn't go on. So he took me instead. It was great, by the way. Really relaxing. I had to work hard not to smile. Aria's timing was perfect. Vesper was shaking with rage. You took some random woman on our honeymoon? No, I took a friend on a vacation I'd already paid for. There is no our anything. We're not married. You made sure of that. This is unbelievable. What's unbelievable is that you thought I'd actually go through with marrying you after you tried to bring your ex-boyfriend along, or that I wouldn't find out about your plan to scam me. Her mother grabbed her arm. We're leaving, and you'll be hearing from our lawyer. Great. Have them call my lawyer. The number's on the lawsuit. They left. Aria watched them go, then turned to me. That was intense. Yeah. Thanks for showing up when you did, though. Her face when she saw you was priceless. Happy to help. So you're actually suing her? For fraud. She spent a year planning to marry me just to take my money. Good. She deserves it. Want to grab coffee? I could use a friendly face right now. Sure. But you're buying. You still owe me for being your fake honeymoon wife. Fair enough. Over the next few weeks, things progressed exactly as my lawyer predicted. Vesper tried to countersue, claiming I'd abandoned her and caused emotional distress. My lawyer presented the recording, the witness statements about Torin, the fact that we'd never filed the marriage license. Her case fell apart immediately. She ended up settling. Couldn't pay the full $30,000 but agreed to pay back $15,000 over the next 2 years. Also had to sign a statement admitting the fraud, which became part of the public record. The social fallout was worse for her than the legal stuff. Our mutual friends heard the recording. People who'd attended the wedding found out it was all a scam. Her reputation in our social circle was destroyed. Torin disappeared the moment he realized there was no money to be made. Blocked her on everything, moved back to his home state. Vesper ended up moving back in with her parents, posting vague things on social media about learning who your real friends are and surviving betrayal. The irony wasn't lost on me. As for me and Aria, we started hanging out regularly, just as friends at first. Coffee, movies, she taught me some basic coding and I showed her how to fix her car when it started making weird noises. About 3 months after Hawaii, we were working on a project together in my apartment. She was building a home automation system and needed help with the physical installation. Hand me that screwdriver, she said from under my desk where she was running cable. I gave it to her. This is weirdly domestic. What, building smart home systems together? Yeah, it's nice. She emerged from under the desk, covered in dust. You know what's funny? What? I had more fun on that weird fake honeymoon with you than I've had on any actual date in the last 2 years. Same. Minus the fake honeymoon part. Just any date period. So why haven't we gone on an actual date? Are you asking me out? Maybe. Is that weird? We met because your ex tried to scam you and I took her honeymoon spot. I've heard of couples with weirder origin stories. So is that a yes? Yeah, that's a yes. Our first official date was at this arcade bar. Her suggestion. We spent 3 hours playing vintage fighting games and drinking overpriced cocktails. She destroyed me at Street Fighter. I got revenge in skee-ball. This is way better than a fancy restaurant, she said. Agreed. Though we should probably do dinner at some point. Eventually. But this is more us. She was right. Fancy restaurants, expensive gestures, elaborate displays, none of that mattered. What mattered was finding someone who actually wanted to spend time with you, who laughed at your jokes, who shared your interests instead of tolerating them, someone who chose you first instead of seeing you as a resource to exploit. 6 months later, Aria moved in. We made sure she signed the lease this time. A year after that, we got engaged. Nothing dramatic, just us working on a project together and me realizing I wanted to do this forever. "Hey," I said, "want to get married?" She looked up from her laptop. "Like right now?" "Eventually, no pressure, but yeah." "Okay, but we're eloping. I'm not doing the big wedding thing." "Deal." We got married at a courthouse with my parents and her sister as witnesses. Total cost, $75. We spent the money we saved on a 2-week trip to Japan where we visited every tech museum and robot cafe we could find. Best honeymoon ever. And this time, I actually wanted my spouse there. I'm 30 years old. I almost married someone who saw me as a mark, a means to an end, someone to use and discard. Someone who was planning to commit fraud from day one. But that's not what happened. What happened is I got to the edge of that cliff, saw what was coming, and walked away. Some people said I overreacted, that I should have tried to work it out, give her another chance, that everyone makes mistakes. But here's the thing. It wasn't a mistake. It was a plan. A calculated, long-term plan to use me for financial gain and then discard me. The right person won't see you as an ATM with legs. They won't plan your divorce before your marriage. They won't bring their ex on your honeymoon. The right person will want to build something with you. Will share your interests. Will choose you for who you are, not what you can provide. Aria gets that. When I told her about Vesper, about the whole scam, she said, "Thank God you got out before signing anything permanent." Not, "You should have tried harder." Not, "Maybe she would have changed." Just relief that I'd escaped. That's the difference between someone who wants you and someone who wants what you have. Looking back, I can see all the signs I missed. Vesper never paid for anything, never signed the lease, always had an excuse for why she couldn't contribute financially, kept bringing up Torin in conversations, testing my reaction. I explained them all away because I loved her, or who I thought she was. But love shouldn't require you to ignore reality. Real love builds on truth, not on convenient fictions you tell yourself to avoid facing uncomfortable facts. I spent 18 months with someone who was actively planning to defraud me. And I walked away the moment I saw the truth. That's not giving up. That's self-preservation. The thing about being with someone who's fundamentally using you is that it becomes your entire world. You start measuring your worth by whether you can provide enough, be stable enough, be useful enough to keep them around. It's wild how much energy you waste trying to earn something that should be freely given. The moment I stopped performing for someone who didn't value me and started living for myself, everything changed. I got stronger, set real boundaries, found someone who actually chose me instead of choosing my bank account. And that's when I finally understood what partnership actually means. It's not about what you can do for each other. It's about wanting to do things together because you enjoy each other's company. Sometimes the worst thing that almost happens to you is the best thing that never did. Choose yourself. Every single time.